or even to RSG's EXP laner, because this allows the EXP to rotate and roam towards that jungle pit even faster. Let's take a little draft real quick. Was taken off the bat. Starting off, Angela, Chip, Baxia is taken off the tables. RSG taking out all the assassins. You talked about Yu Shin, Lancelot, Hayabusa. So Fate Cutie is definitely on target here.
Yeah, and also that's something that PTBL also plays, right? Like, oh, literally, these are the 3 heroes that he plays, right? And of course, and then after that, the counterpick with the Fredge, and Melon has something cooking on the drafting books.
Yeah, I think this is the only tank jungler
They don't have access to my Excel sheet, right?
This is the only one that Fake Cutie has picked up, right? He picked up Fredrin on the first day of the first game.
Definitely.
And it didn't work out so well because of the way that AZ likes to play, a little bit more fast-paced and aggressive. Once you take out the Fredrin, you don't really have that front line. But then, if you have a tank in the jungle, you really need secondary damage dealers and burst damage from your mid and your gold lane. But a lot of the times, they like to pick up the Juicins, they like to pick up the Yeeves, and it's all really slow damage per second instead of, like, you know, high DPS. So they're taking out all the high DPS just as expected. I think Melon is really cooking up this time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But now it forces Fake Cutie into this Joy, and then after that, Vendetta. Now, you know, Vendetta is the one that popularized the Killian EXP lane, but now they've opted for the CC to kind of shred. And if you look at over the side of RSG, the PTBL went for the Fredrin. Yeah, so this CC is definitely going to be very vital against shredding against Fredrin. Now, Coach Melon's really cooking right here, right? I remember I pointed out how Buji's so comfortable on his mid laners, right? And now they're starting to take it away. Kimi is taken away. The Farsigh's also taken away. Coming up next, if you want to talk about for the side Buji, he's currently... The next best thing is a Juicin, and now with this remaining ban coming up from RSG, I think they may also target down Buji's heroes.
Honestly, though, I don't really like the Juicin as much. I think a little bit more bursty heroes might work, but Buji is known as an artillery mage player. So that ban onto the Eve,
there you go.
Actually, it's a target onto Buji as well. So taking out all the artilleries, taking out all the long-range zonal controls from AZ, this is going to disrupt their gameplay a lot. So RSG has the gold lane and the roam in question. No Grok. No setups. They still have the Arlott in question. I think the Arlott and CC matchup is really quite good for both sides. It's an even Stevens kind of matchup because once you clear that wave, you start that rotation. CC is definitely going to have a better advantage in the early game, but when it comes down to the late game, it's all about setups. It's all about that taunts. It's all about the final slashes and whether or not they're able to redisrupt and redistribute that power over AZ.
Personally, if I'm looking at how RSG is doing it, I think they may also want to... I was thinking about, you know, you're counter-picking the Grandeur away from Salas. Also, another thing for the from the roamer, it seems like RSG has set on the Khalid as the main roamer here. Personally, I feel like if you drop a Mathilda for the side of RSG, right? Because if you take a look at how Arlott likes to dive, the Fredrin likes to dive as well. The Kalia all of a sudden, just because of Mathilda, kind of become like very less priority already. But Absolute Zero, this is a very scary matchup, very prone in the magic damage department. But if you notice, that's going to be a Salas on the Alice in the gold lane, or perhaps a CC in the gold lane.
It might be a CC in gold lane and then EXP Alice, just because the core power specs is definitely on level 4. So you want to get Alice onto level 4. You have an early game rotation down to the Turtle Pit and get your ultimate ready just to zone out RSG from any further harm. I do like RSG's draft a little bit better, though. They are more... How would you say complete in this sense?
Balanced. Yeah.
And a lot of movement speed, though, with the Expanded Rivers. You pick up the Khalid, that is additional movement speed alongside that rotation. So you're going to see a lot of action in the early game from RSG. This might bite themselves in the butt later on, because in the late game, though, they have a lot of burst damage coming in from the Kimi alone. AZ needs to buy a lot of time and build up that momentum, prolong these team fights to be able to dish out that damage. That's a problem with a pure magic damage team, and it's very easy to build against AZ.
Yep, another thing to take note is that Salas and Vendetta swapped earlier just now.
Yep.
It's going to be Salas on the CC in the gold lane. We're starting to see a few CCs in the gold lane as well. Alice in the EXP lane going up against the Arlott. This is going to be a very hard challenge for the side of Arlott, right? Because once Arlott dashes in, all Alice has to do is proc his passive, and all of a sudden, you know, the Arlott couldn't do anything, right? Arlott really requires the amount of dashes right there, but of course, trust in Taurus to be able to execute that, especially going to the later parts of the game. The final slashing the Alice is just basically going to help her a lot more, because, you know, the passive and the ultimate thing is just so way too strong on the Alice this time round. We've seen teams struggle against Alice. We shall see whether RSG knows how to deal with her.
Yeah, we're jumping into the game. This is game 1 of the last day of the seeded stage. And Absolute Zero absolutely showing a lot of growth over the weeks. We'll be able to see if RSG is able to take at least one game off of Absolute Zero. But I do have a question for you, Jace. What is the stakes if AZ actually loses 2 games to RSG?
Relegated to challenger brackets alone. Because technically speaking, these two teams are at the bottom of the charts right here. I think this is where Absolute Zero, you know, literally starting to go to Absolute 1, right? Stepping forward just a little bit. They need to get this 2-0 in order for them to not go down to be relegated.
Yeah, we're starting off with the Lethal Wanderer.
Ooh, lots of damage from the side of Bougie onto Hoki right there, but should be able to just heal that up immediately. But you can see how, you know, Bougie is able to pilot this juicing to great success. Nomad takes a lot of damage from the side of Murphy as well, but you mentioned Flicker already burned by the side of Nomad.
Yeah, a lot of high engage to no high value taken off from either side. Still even Stevens in terms of the goal lead. It's not too much, but I think how Absolute Zero should play this is play a little bit more safer, wait until Joy's power spike, and that is the problem with Absolute Zero's draft. The only damage will come from this Joy. If Fate Cutie is unable to get that 3 stacks into the rhythm of Joy or into the Joy song, RSG is just gonna pummel over them. There's a lot of sustain, there's a lot of defense. There's so many thick, beefy boys in the side of RSG. The Absolute Zero is slowly chunking down. I think the CC in the gold lane doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. I don't really like that just because it's only single target. And this is how Absolute Zero actually falters.
Fake Cutie having a lot of damage. Problem right there. PTBL picking up that first blood. Instantly pivots over to the turtle. A great start for RSG this far.
Yeah, taking the words right out of my mouth. Early game secured by RSG, taking the first turtle of the game. Not a lot of damage from Absolute Zero, and the single target initiation skills is what I don't really like. Oh, committal.
Vendetta really committal right there. Opt for the Rune of Throne, right? Throne of Ruin right there. Unable to catch anybody though. That's one massive ultimate also burned away. Absolute Zero right here, scrambling to find any form of wins.
Yeah, I think Fake Cutie going for the start on the side, try to increase that farming speed down the jungle, but RSG really taking it to toe. Absolute Zero cannot try to be aggressive in RSG's face just because the Khalid is there. High early game damage, high early game crowd control, especially from RSG. So it's a very simple game plan for Absolute Zero. Play into the late game, wait until the power spikes that Fake Cutie can bring along alongside it. The only issue that RSG might be able to equate to their downfall is basically in the late game. You don't really have anyone to split push except this Moskov that they have.
Yeah. I mean, right now, what RSG likes to play is they really like to send Ash into a 4+1. Even with the 4 from the side of RSG, because of Murphy on the Kimi, you'd have decent amount of DPS. Technically speaking, that mid lane can act like a marksman. They could literally shred through the members from the side of Absolute Zero. But speaking of which, if the fight really goes a little bit longer, because Absolute Zero, hold on second, Vendetta, this time around make it close just a little bit. But look at the sustainability coming out from Vendetta. Fake Cutie trying to just dish for the win right here, but Torres right there with the final slash stops everybody. Nomad tries to gank, but decides not to go for it because Absolute Zero, they really cannot find any form of entry points at all. RSG is not giving it to them.
Yeah, too little damage from Absolute Zero, and that's the issue with their draft. You're having pure magic damage. Joy is not online yet. RSG is not going to falter. The only target that Joy would essentially have would be Murphy or Ash, but in this point in time, they're not in the picture as of now. 10 seconds into the turtle spawns up. There's expanding rivers. You have a little bit more movement speed around these jungles. We got the pull back onto Hoki.
Tries to use a Tsunami Slam, but I think he wouldn't be able to cast onto that one because Hoki is not exactly a very good person for Bougie to burst down. And now Absolute Zero has to really navigate around this turtle fight very meticulously.
Just dancing it around Fake Cutie, trying to pull the turtle away from PTBL. It looks like a 5v5. This is the power of expanding rivers.
Yeah, but don't forget, you've also got Moskov also inching towards the mid lane. Doesn't really require the Spear of Destruction right here. Nomad decides to step forward just a little bit. Fake Cutie secures the turtle for himself. Here comes the traction pulse, but Vendetta, the amount of sustainability overwhelms RSG right there at the turtle pit. 2 members down.
It's a 5v4. You don't have the Moskov in play. Ash is busy pushing down these side lane turrets, and that's why Absolute Z was able to win out on that one. If Moskov would have been in, RSG would have had a better shot. But right now, Absolute Zero up ahead in terms of gold with the second turtle take.
Definitely. I was talking about how Absolute Zero need to really basically do heart surgery right there against RSG Singapore, and this time around, you know, surgery was a success, right? They are able to snowball just a little bit more, kind of equalizing themselves just a little bit more, but I will stand corrected actually. Just taking blue gold lead, Absolute Zero picking up another turret up top. 2k gold lead in the favor for them for now. They're gonna snowball.
Good conversions, Hoki will falter.
Leader right there. The traction pulse to no avail as well. PTBL getting picked up like a ragdoll by the side of Absolute Zero. And now RSG Singapore, they're in the back foot.
Yeah, Buji's just so annoying with the lanterns. I mean, PTBL is a very slow, he picks up a very slow champion. So if you walk into much, I mean, you get slowed down by the lantern, you get picked up, and you get crowd controlled to infinity and beyond. And I think RSG might need to find a way to navigate through this, and I think Ash needs to join in these team fights and play 5v5.
Yep. Oh, final slash from the side of Taurus. Absolutely missed, but it doesn't really matter. Buji gets stunned just a little bit. I think RSG Singapore, I think in order to beat Absolute Zero, they really need to just stop hesitating and just legit commit to everything they've engaged on.
It's just a macro game. I don't know what Ash is trying to do right here. He was trying to go into the mid side. He was trying to take up that mid wave, but the bottom side was wide open. He could have just went there to farm up. And I think Absolute Zero identified that Moskov is in the picture. Let's just push out in the side wave. Because typically when you have a Moskov, you put him in the split wave position.
Yep, Nomad right there. Tsunami Slam right into the periphery of Ash, but it doesn't really matter. Ash went down in the bottom lane because that's the power of the CC with so much mobility. She doesn't really mind to basically start turret diving over, so the RSG has to start the turtle fight with a back foot. PTBL, nobody for the same side of heal. Absolute Zero. Oh, Hoki missing the Raging Sandstorm right there onto 4 members. Absolute Zero getting things scot-free.
Great prioritization. All 4 members chasing one Fredrin, and Absolute Zero has that damage if all 5 members stick together.
Yep.
I like the fact that Scylla is actually pushing down that side waves. Just that CC alone is able to take down that Moskov too. RSG needs to find a way to babysit Ash.
Salus overextending his position just a little bit, but Nomad and Buji is right there. Murphy getting picked up by the side of the Juicin. And you know the members from the side of RSG Singapore, I feel like they've got the damage to deal with him, but that window slowly slamming shut onto their fingers.
4,000 gold lead, and Buji's damage is starting to hurt. Murphy was 50% of his health with 1 pull from that lantern alone. RSG doesn't have any zonal control. They're not playing that macro game, and Absolute Zero absolutely dominating this jungle with the expanding rivers to their name.
Yeah, literally, side lanes literally getting swiped down by Sandless as well. You know, Absolute Zero, they started with a back foot just a little bit. PTBL was the one that started got the first blood at the same time, and that's the only kill they've got so far for the 8 minutes.
You know, silver lining, they still have that mid lane tier 1.
Yeah, that mid lane is definitely going to be very important for RSG Singapore.
But they don't have that macro game though. They don't have anyone to put. I mean, if you look at the entire game, I wish there was a heat map, but Hoki take a lot of damage though.
And that's the power of the CC, especially when you go for a 1v1, right? Curtain Call onto Hoki, he's gonna get shredded. Curtain Call onto Taurus, shredded. Curtain Call onto PTBL, definitely shredded. No matter how strong or how thick your tanks are.
There's a lot of damage from Buji. So the mid lane, if you take a look at the heat map, Murphy and Buji are literally just gluing themselves in that mid lane. RSG not letting that T1 mid falter.
Spear of Misery does land onto Sandless though, but it doesn't really matter. Members from the side of Buji, Absolute Zero just reinforces Sandless, and now they're just going to destroy the infrastructure after infrastructure. RSG Singapore could do nothing but watch the turrets go down.
I'm looking at the tipping point. It was just that second turtle where Absolute Zero just 5-manned over RSG. Ash was free farming down the bottom side. I don't know why he was a little bit too slow to the game, but it's showing. The marksman is not inside these team fights. Absolute Zero though.
Raging Sandstorm onto Buji. That's quite a bit of an expense, but it doesn't really matter. Buji getting picked up is absolutely good for the side of RSG Singapore, and now they just need to try to convert. Ash does have the Conan Stop already. He needs to join these fights now.
Yeah, Taurus, very good final slash off the map, throwing Buji into the turret's range. And right now, our RSG Singapore are able to come back and fight for this Lord. They're playing a numbers game, but they're playing it too slow.
Yeah.
They're trying to push Ash onto the top side, but he also needs to be babysitted by Hoki and Murphy, so they're out of the opposite side of the map. Glory gets that reset, and Absolute Zero, Buji's coming back into play.
And we're back to square one once again, Churros, right? Like, I really echo you. There's a small little window of opportunity, and RSG Singapore kept getting their fingers really shut tight because Absolute Zero is the one that's slamming these windows of opportunity against RSG Singapore. And Absolute Zero is just taking advantage right here. And here comes Vendetta. Final slash from the side of Taurus, but it may be a little bit too slow for the side of RSG to basically reinforce. And now here comes the traction pulse for the side of Murphy, but it doesn't really matter because Absolute Zero just crushing RSG. And double kill for the side of Salis as Ash plays Farm Bill up top.
RSG is just split apart like headless chickens. Absolute Zero, 5 members onto 1
onto
every
2
single time.
Yeah, it's just Absolute Zero catching all these very perfect opportunities, and RSG Singapore is none the wiser.
Yeah, I think PTBL and Taurus was in the front line trying to tank for everyone, but there was no backup, especially from Hoki or Murphy. Murphy was a little bit too far on that Lord fight, which caused their downfall. And Absolute Zero just ramping up the aggression, trying to push them all back, increase that lead, and try to push down at least all the T3s. Yep. And now T1s are the mid side's already fallen for RSG. The only thing that's open is the side lanes. But for RSG, they're very, very passive. Ash can't play that side lanes alone. Like, I don't think he has that confidence to do so.
Yeah, he has. I feel like right now, RSG Singapore does have the damage, right? Golden Star for the side of Ash, especially on the Moskov, should be able to do something right here. Now, Murphy going for the Sky Piercer, even though
risky.
This late. He needs to make sure the Sky Piercer absolutely works because right now, you know, the members for the side Absolute Zero is giving them no quarters. Vendetta all the way to the back line. He is really unfazed. They're even fighting right underneath the turret. Bullshit picking up PTBL already. And now Absolute Zero cracks open RSG side of the map. Taurus with the final snatch. The Ranger right there will be able to try to capture it, but Fake Cutie outputting the damage, picking up a lot of damage and also just dishing out a lot of them against RSG Singapore.
Very good final slash, good find onto all members of Absolute Zero, trying to delay their approach, but still, our Absolute Zero just got what they came for, taking out all T3s. Right now, Absolute Zero has the bigger advantage over that map, especially when you have expanding rivers.
Yeah.
You're able to just sit down on that top quarter side of that jungle very effectively. RSG can't even move forward now.
Yeah, Absolute Zero, just take a look at that. And you know how observers are actually highlighting there's literally no more base defenses for the side of RSG Singapore. Yes, Absolute Zero lost 2 members. It's good shutdown goal for the side of RSG Singapore, but losing these defense mechanisms for the side of RSG Singapore is definitely going to hurt. Absolute Zero got the better part of that deal.
To be honest though, right now I'm eating my words. Absolute Zero has so great setups. You go in first with Vendetta with the thorns, and then Nomad just jumps in, grabs any loose member, and then Absolute Zero with the high target prioritization just takes down one head at a time.
Yeah, definitely, right? Now RSG Singapore, I think right now for the side of Absolute Zero, they really need to play around RSG Singapore's side of the Purify, right? That's the only because right now Nomad is actually also very smart on this Kalia, right? He's not really going in just going in with a Tsunami Slam willy-nilly. He makes sure that the rest of the members for the side Absolute Zero is ready to receive the pickup.
Now it's just a waiting game, 20 seconds till Lord spawns up. RSG very, very passive. Down in the bottom, down in their base, there's not much that Ash can do. Even though the damage is coming through, he really needs Murphy to try to set that up with the ulti. But Ash isn't really showing up in this late stage of the game. I don't think RSG can afford to risk going for this Lord, but they're moving, advancing through that top quarter of that jungle.
Now, Ash needs to join these fights, right? Because Absolute Zero right now... Oh, another pickup right here, BTBL.
Oh!
Nice traction pulse onto 2, but it doesn't really matter because the blue HP bars is up online. Ash finally joins the fight, unfortunately.
Oh, that's
but he's
damage!
actually getting pushed off just a little bit, but Ash, picking up some form of damage. Buji getting shut down right here, and now the rest of the members on the side of Absolute Zero just collapse onto Ash, takes him down. Fake Cutie dances around RSG Singapore.
That's it, on one side wave!
From the side of Absolute Zero, and they're just gonna penetrate through into their core and pull a full stop for game number 1 against RSG Singapore.
Ash showing some silver linings, but Fake Cutie finding that angle, finding the rust, in that iron and taking RSG down for game number 1. Absolute Zero showing a dominant performance at the opening match of the last day of the seeded stage.
Yeah, definitely not feeling well for the side of RSG Singapore. Just take a look at Absolute Zero, unfazed right there. Yes,
let's take a look at the MVP of the game. It's Sailus as CC. I really look down on this CC, honestly, at the early state of the game.
My brother,
just because it's a single target hero, and I'm not a big fan of single target damage, but the damage that he shows, the aggression that he dishes out, especially onto Hoki, especially onto Ash, is just unparalleled. 100% kill participation from this yo-yo swinging maniac.
Yeah, Oracle, and also you go for the Blade Armor with Vengeance. The Moskov fears you. You just literally kill. You literally go in for a suicide. You add the Award X to it, all of a sudden you've got so much sustainability. And speaking of sustainability, just take a look at the emblems. How many Brave Smites did you count for the side of Absolute Zero?
Not only Brave Smites, right? There's a lot of sustain coming in from Absolute Zero. Vendetta has his own healing factor. You got CC with the healing factor. And you also got Nomad, who has that passive to heal your teammates. So that's why they can afford to rush down these turrets in the T3s in the early part of the later part of the game just now. And I think that also contributes to a lot of the bigger team fights that Absolute Zero wants to push towards, because they could rush, they can try to layer in the players. Vendetta goes in first, and then once he does his job, Sailus comes in with the curtain call, dishes as much damage as he can, and then gets out. Nomad then jumps in, try to pull any loose members back, and then Fake Cutie just finding an angle onto the right target.
I personally feel it's just, you know, how the members of the side of RSG Singapore, they do have the damage. If you take a look at Ash, he did pick up quite a few items for himself already. He should be, you know, fight ready. But it seems like, you know, the members from the side of Absolute Zero is constantly catching RSG Singapore off guard.
Yeah, I do want to talk a little bit about the Sky Piercer Murphy bought in the later stage of the game. He was all 1-1 if I remember correctly. Once he got that Sky Piercer, he got maybe around 2 stacks. It's a very cheap item. You can buy the Sky Piercer just to get a little bit more extra damage and insecure kills. But in that late stage of the game, I would feel that it would make a bigger impact in team fights if he went for something like the Lantern instead of the Sky Piercer. At least it's more utility. At least it gives a little bit more of a damage power that PTBL is able to soak up.
Yeah, and also you talk about damage right here. Here you go. Here's the damage charts. I think all eyes definitely going to be on Sailus. You can see that he's literally shredding Hoki. Hoki couldn't even step forward just a little bit. Just take a look at the damage dealt by the side of Sailus. 78k, one of the highest from the side of Absolute Zero. And, you know, time to start really appreciating CCs even more, right? Like, you thought he's a good opener to counter any of the EXP laners, but then you got Sailus right here, bringing it all the way to the gold lane, ignoring the laning phase. We're going to massive team fights. We're going to the brawl. Expanding rivers allow you to do that.
Yeah.
Hoki stepping forward, shred. PTBL stepping forward gets shredded by the curtain call.
I mean, to be fair, Absolute Zero just played to their draft. If they want to go single target, they go single target straight off. That's a 5-man pick off onto one member every single time that a team fight starts. RSG could not try to go for that AoE stun that Murphy's able to dish out with that ultimate, and that caused their downfall. And honestly, though, I kind of dig Absolute Zero's draft right now. It makes so much sense. I was a little bit hesitant about Joy having enough damage, but then again, you know, Absolute